His reaction to a photo of me 35 pounds heavy or surprised me. We had been dating for about 4 months when it happened, and honestly, things were still in that stage where you are hyper aware of everything. Every look, every pause, every reaction. You are still figuring out who this person really is when the performance fades. So when that moment came, I was paying attention. His sister threw a birthday dinner at her house. Small gathering, maybe 10 people around a long table, candles, good food, a lot of wine. It was the kind of relaxed family night I had been nervous about walking into. His family is warm, loud in the best way, and they have this easy closeness that I always envied growing up. My family never really did dinners like this. By the second hour, phones were out and people were passing around old photos. His mom had a whole folder of him as a kid. His college roommate showed up with screenshots from a group chat circa 2013. Everyone was laughing, roasting each other, doing that thing families do when they are comfortable enough to embarrass the people they love. His sister reached over and grabbed my phone. She wanted to show the table a picture from a trip she had taken with me 2 years ago, before I even knew him. We had gone to visit a mutual friend for a long weekend. She remembered the photo being funny because we had both gotten sunburned and looked ridiculous. I froze the second she started scrolling, because that trip was in the same album as everything else from that period of my life, and that period of my life is not something I put on display. My dad died in the spring of 2022. It was fast. 1 week he was complaining about his knee, and 6 weeks later he was gone. I do not talk about it much because there is nothing to say that makes it make sense. What I can tell you is that the year after he died, I disappeared into myself. I stopped cooking real meals. I stopped going to the gym. I gained somewhere around 30 to 35 pounds in about 8 months, and I genuinely did not notice it happening until I saw a photo of myself at my cousin's cookout and just stared at it for a long time. That exact photo was in the album his sister was scrolling through. Me, standing in the backyard, puffy-faced, heavy, in an oversized gray hoodie I had been wearing for basically 3 days straight. I had this hollow look in my eyes that I remembered well. I was there physically. I was not there in any other way. She landed on it without warning and held my phone up toward the table. I looked over at him immediately. I could not stop myself. Every insecurity I had shoved down since we started dating came rushing up at once. I was bracing for something. A flinch? A flicker of surprise he tried to hide. One of those polite smiles people give when they do not want you to know what they are actually thinking. He leaned forward and looked at the photo. Really looked at it. A few seconds passed, then he pointed at the screen and turned to his sister. Wait, was this right after her dad died? She nodded slowly. Yeah, that summer. He did not look back at the photo. He looked at me. Directly at me, across the table, past everyone else. And he said it quietly, like it was just for me, even though the whole table could hear it. You showed up. That whole year, you showed up. I did not know what to do with that. My throat tightened, and I looked down at my wine glass because I did not trust my face right then. He was not looking at my body. He was not registering the weight or the hoodie or any of it. He looked at that photo, and the first thing his brain went to was what I had been carrying that year. What it took to still be standing at a cousin's cookout 8 weeks after burying my dad. He called that strength. His sister got quiet. The woman next to her got quiet. The table sort of settled for a moment in that way it does when something real gets said in the middle of a casual night. Then he just reached over and squeezed my hand under the table. No big moment, no drawn out speech. He squeezed my hand and asked his mom to pass the bread and moved on like he had not just shifted something permanent inside me, but he had. I have spent years being at war with that photo, with that whole chapter. I kept those pictures buried in an album I never opened because every time I saw them, I felt like I was looking at proof of something shameful, like I had failed at grief, like I was supposed to handle losing my dad and still go to spin class and meal prep on Sundays and hold it all together neatly. He looked at that same photo and saw none of that. He saw a person who got up every morning during the hardest year of her life and kept going. He saw someone still breathing, still trying, still showing up to things even when showing up was all she had left. And he said so, in front of his whole family, without hesitating for even a second. I do not throw that word around, but that was the moment. That was when I knew.